Did you truly foresee all of this?
Make sure to subscribe and like the video. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Thank you for being here, and God bless you.
The plant looked different before sunrise. Not dead, not alive either. Just waiting. Bobby Kincaid stood outside Gate 3 with his collar turned up against the Lake Michigan wind. The old furnace stacks glowed orange in the dark, the same way they had in 1974, when men came to work with thermos bottles, lunch pails, and union cards tucked behind their driver's licenses. Only now, Bobby was not coming in to sweep floors. He was coming in to read what Preston Vale had tried to hide. The night before, Samuel Rourke had opened that old cigar box on his kitchen table. Inside were founder shares, board notices, and a letter with Bobby's name still typed in clean black ink. Preston doesn't fear the shares, Sam had told him. He fears what those shares let you inspect. So Bobby came before office hours. The security guard at the side desk was young enough to be his grandson. He looked at Bobby's faded navy jacket, then at the visitor badge request. "Records room?" the guard asked. "You sure?" Bobby slid one paper across the counter. The guard read it twice, then his voice changed. "Yes, sir, Mr. Kincaid." That little "sir" carried 50 years of weight. Bobby walked down the hall where union photographs still hung crooked on dusty walls. Men in hard hats, women in safety goggles. Christmas parties with foil garland. A company picnic by Marquette Park, with kids eating hot dogs and chasing each other near the dunes. Bobby stopped at one photograph. Evelyn stood there, in a blue church dress, holding a paper plate of potato salad. She was smiling at him from 1976. "Morning, Evie," Bobby whispered. Then he heard voices from the conference room ahead. Preston Vale was already there, and he was laughing about the land beneath the plant. What exactly had Preston planned for the ground Bobby's friends had spent their lives standing on? Bobby stayed in the shadow outside the conference room. At his age, a man learned when to speak. He also learned when to listen. Inside, Preston Vale stood beside a glowing map of the plant property. His charcoal suit looked too clean for that building. His polished shoes had never stepped in furnace dust. His thin silver glasses caught the projector light every time he smiled. "Parcel A goes to the warehouse developer," Preston said. "Parcel B becomes lakefront commercial. Parcel C is environmental reserve, on paper only." A woman at the table asked, "And the pension liability?" Preston's smile thinned. "That moves before the sale closes." Bobby's hand tightened around the handle of his lunch pail. Pension liability? That was not a phrase men used at a diner counter. It was not how Frank Dolan talked after losing 2 fingers on line 4. It was not how Mary Bell talked when her husband died, coughing steel dust into a handkerchief. Those were not liabilities. They were people. Preston tapped the map with a laser pointer. The old workforce won't understand it until it's done. By then, the pension fund will be transferred to a managed outside trust. Reduced exposure, reduced obligation, clean sale. Someone chuckled. Bobby closed his eyes. For 1 second, he smelled 1970s Gary again. Machine oil, wet wool coats, burnt coffee from the Union Hall, Evelyn's fried chicken wrapped in wax paper, the little radio near the break room playing a Cubs game nobody could hear over the presses. Then Preston said one more thing. The only nuisance is Kincaid, but an old janitor with antique paper cannot stop a modern transaction. Bobby opened his eyes, not angry, worse, certain. He turned away from the conference room and walked straight to records. The key from Sam's cigar box fit the drawer like it had been waiting. Inside were folders marked with dates: 1973, 1974, 1975. Then he found the one marked Pension Protection Addendum, and taped across the top was a note in Evelyn's handwriting. Why had Bobby's wife hidden her name inside the most powerful document in the factory? The note was only one sentence. Bobby knew the handwriting before he read it. If they ever forget the men, make them remember the promise. He sat down hard in the metal chair. For a long moment, the plant went quiet around him. Even the furnace hum seemed far away. Evelyn had been gone 6 years. Cancer took her in March, when the snow was turning gray along the curbs and the first robins were showing up in the churchyard. Bobby still set out 2 coffee cups some mornings before he caught himself. Now, here she was, not in a picture, not in a memory, in the fine print. The document was dated October 18th, 1974. Bobby remembered that week. The Union Hall smelled like cigar smoke, floor wax, and chili from the church basement. Men argued over overtime. Women passed out coffee in styrofoam cups. Everybody worried the new ownership structure would someday turn on the workers. Bobby had been tired. Evelyn had been sharp. She read every page, he whispered. The clause was clear. No sale, transfer, liquidation, or land conversion could proceed if it reduced vested pensions, retiree medical support, or survival benefits. Any Class A founder shareholder could trigger emergency review. If management concealed the transaction, that shareholder could call a special board vote. Bobby read it again. Then he saw the preparer's initials, E.K., Evelyn Kincaid. His wife had helped write the lock on the door Preston was trying to break. Bobby folded the document with care and placed it in his lunch pail. Not the company briefcase, not a lawyer's envelope, the lunch pail. The same one that had carried bologna sandwiches, union dues, baby pictures, and Evelyn's notes for half a century. Then the records room door opened. Preston Vale stood there with 2 security men behind him. His cold smile was gone. "Mr. Kincaid," he said, "put that document down." Bobby looked up slowly, and for the first time, Preston sounded afraid. What did Preston know about Evelyn's clause that Bobby had not discovered yet? Preston thought he was selling land, but Bobby had just found the promise buried under it. A promise written in legal ink, protected by founder shares, and signed by the one person Preston never expected to face: Evelyn Kincaid. If this story has you thinking about the men and women who built America with their hands, stay with Bobby now. In Part 4, Preston makes his move. He calls the police, locks the gates, and tells the board Bobby stole company property. But Bobby has one more name to read aloud. And when that name reaches the room, even Preston's own allies stop smiling. So subscribe. Tap like if you believe a promise should mean something. And come back for the next chapter. Because Bobby Kincaid is about to call a board vote from inside the factory he was fired from.